Welcome, friends. I'm Chase Porter, and today we're here discussing comics that dropped this last week, October 21st. This week was ginormous and super crazy. We had X of Swords chapters 9 and 10. We're kind of at the halfway point. We had a square off between Batman and Grifter, of all people, and long live the Robin King. You are listening to the New Age Comics Podcast. Hello, my friends. I hope you are having a super duper, whooper, wonderful ass week. I'm doing okay here. Things are swell. This week was actually not too bad. I know that's kind of become the meme that I just hop on the mic and I'm like, where? My week was so tough. Well, this week wasn't that bad. I had some time to breathe. I wasn't drowning in things to do. I actually got a lot of work done on a thing that I've been wanting to work on for quite some time. And this is relevant to the podcast. I was able to get done editing, made the thumbnail, made the video, exported the video, did all the fun stuff for my friend, me and Ian. We did a X-Men podcast. If so, little plug here. If you follow me on Twitter, I have been tweeting about this, but I'm doing a podcast with Ian, and it is going to be the new age of X. We are going to go through all the X-Men comics that have dropped, pretty much from the dawn of X and on. We are not doing Hoxpox. And so we're starting with X-Men Volume 1 by Hickman, the main run. It was just so much fun having Ian here to talk with and bounce ideas off of. I love that guy. So that will be coming out this week. It will be dropping on Wednesday or maybe Thursday. Haven't really decided yet. Kind of depends on when you're hearing this right now. But if you're hearing this, you can be ready for that. But to be done with plugging my things, you can follow me over on Twitter, like I said, at New Age Comics Pod, and wherever you listen to podcasts. And feel free to like and do all the fun YouTube stuff to this video. But I am here, and we're going to be talking about comics. This was a huge week. We had 12 comics. Like, goddamn, I did a 12 comic week a couple weeks ago, and it almost murdered me. So this week actually wasn't as bad. Like I said, I had a chill week, so this wasn't a slog for me to get through. So I'm excited to talk about them. We had a lot of good stuff this week, and one thing to also warn you guys about before we get into these comics is that I am doing full spoilers for these issues. So if you want to get into the meat of the stuff with me, please go check out the comic, come back, and we can dish about it. What am I drinking? I'm drinking a U-Stop convenience shop coffee, 20 ounce. It's pretty good. Nice. I'm drinking it through a straw. I actually took a straw and I put it through the little like coffee lid hole. But without further ado, let us get into the comics. So we are starting this week off in the X corner, as we always do here at New Age Comics. But it's because we're in X of Swords times, and that is very insane. I am loving this event so much. It is so fun. I love reading the comics on a weekly basis. It's just such a fun reader experience. Even if the comics aren't like stellar, every time I leave one of these weekly issues, I'm always just like, hell yeah, that was so fun. So what are we doing? We're on part 9 of 22. This is a podcast first because it is Excalibur, issue number 13, written by Teenie Howard, drawn by R.B. Sylvia, and colors by Nolan Woodard. So we're nearly halfway done with the event, and that's pretty exciting. This event has been roaring because we've been getting like 3 issues every single week. And so even since I've only been covering this comic for maybe a month, if that, we're already like halfway done with it. So very fast and very fun. But here's the thing. We need 10 champions, and we still need damn near half of them. And we're already halfway through the event, and we're promised a tournament. When are we speeding it up? But it is actually kind of this week because Excalibur is very important to X of Swords. Obviously, if you've been reading it, you know that Saturnine, however you say her name, and this like magical world with Merlin and knights and the Captain Britons and all that, it is relevant, and that's the whole Excalibur shtick. This issue here, it focuses on the Braddock family, Betsy and Brian, and Jamie. Jamie's actually in this, and they're both pursuing a sword, Brian and Betsy, and we have the in play in this issue is the Starlight Sword, which is super badass looking, and then the Sword of Might, which gets into this whole Captain Britain continuity that I'm not even gonna begin to touch on. But the Sword of Might is actually in possession, I think, by Saturnine, and it's actually kind of a struggle of who has to wield it, because I guess the Sword of Might is one of the swords that was like invoked, and along with Brian and Betsy were invoked to be, or one of them, the Captain Britain maybe, was meant to appear on the circle as a champion of the X-Men. So to get into my thoughts about this issue, it honestly was a little confusing, like the shit with the sword prophecy of might, and then the thing with Saturnine and her having this whole plan, her making these new rules just like on the fly here. And like, what exactly was her scheme with Brian? I'm not really sure. Like I said, this issue did confuse me a little bit, but I think that is just kind of part of the course here for Excalibur. So I actually did pick up issues 1 through 3 of Excalibur back when they first dropped. That was sort of my approach to the X stand was obviously main title, X Force, and then what's the other one I'm gonna get? And I chose Excalibur, and I dropped it after 3 issues because I just kind of was confused, and all the Captain Britain stuff always did kind of just confuse me. And so it's kind of makes sense that I would be a little sauced walking into this issue, but there is a fight between Brian and Betsy in this issue that I actually really did dig. They seem to be struggling. Apparently, if you hold the Sword of Might, you become corrupted, and she doesn't want to become corrupted. I think that's what's going on. You shouldn't ask me because I'm not really sure. Another very confusing thing in this issue is there's this whole Captain Britain corpse scene, but it's actually the X-Goons that are on the team, like Gambit and Rogue and Jubilee, and they're trying to kill King Jamie, which I don't really even want to get into who the fuck King Jamie is. I don't really know his significance. And they fail, but then he kills Jubilee? Like that kind of, I was like, what? What just happened there? And apparently they can't be resurrected anymore. So what the hell is going on? But then later, Betsy is like jailed or something along those lines after that fight for kind of no reason. Yet another thing that confused me. She's in this lighthouse and it's completely darked out around her. And it's a very cool scene because she actually takes a leap of faith out of the window and just flies and ends up getting caught by like a griffin or something. That's the like horse eagle things. And it's just a very well done scene. It's very cool and well paced. And then in the end here, there is a sword swipe scene with Saturnine, and it's kind of cool. Betsy just kind of, Brian is getting it in with Saturnine. And then Betsy just runs in and swipes the sword off the counter. And this is sort of what I mean by confusing. Like, was Brian supposed to take the Starlight Sword? Or was he supposed to wield the Sword of Might? Well, they both ended up getting wielded and both got brought to the circle. So was it like who was going to wield what? But then Brian wanted Betsy to wield the Sword of Light. Like, this is what I'm saying. I'm a little confused about it. But we end the issue off here with 7 out of 10 people in the circle because Brian and Betsy joined them. So overall, that was exciting. Little confused throughout the whole issue, but you know, overall, I did enjoy it while I did. And it was fun to see those X-Goons again. And okay, is Jubilee dead? I kind of am hung up on that. Hanging out still in the X Corner here, we have our last issue of the corner, which is X-Men 13, written by Jonathan Hickman, drawn by Mahmoud Asrar, and colors by Sunny Go. This right here is not a podcast first because I have been keeping up with X-Men and I have really been digging it so far. It's been a great series so far. And so you can guess that I was pretty excited to see what the first X-Men tie-in was, especially since it was the last one that we got. What the hell was that? And so this is X of Swords part 10 of 22, and we're picking back up with the Apocalypse stuff. Right? Remember when the first issue Creation dropped and then it kind of went into X Factor a little bit? We're coming back to Apocalypse, who he's been stabbed by his grandkids and he is getting healed. That is sort of the gist of this issue. It is his issue in that sense, and we get some backstory on what this whole war kind of means for him. And we also get a little bit of backstory on like where this other world people come from, the dark world. And we also get to see him heal up and most importantly, retrieve his sword. Because yes, people, he is a champion and his sword is the Scarab. So my thoughts on this issue, great. This issue was really great. For some reason, we get an interesting opening here because when you open it up, the first page is actually one of those info pages, and it's for two swords that we don't actually get to see wielded here. We kind of do, but it's for the Grass Cutter and the God Killer, which, from what I have learned, those are the swords of Gorgon, who I don't know a ton about, but I remember him back from X-Men issue 4. He was cutting up motherfuckers left and right. And so I kind of been wondering where Gorgon is, where he was. What's the deal with him? Is he going to come through last minute? Is he on a mission? I don't know. We actually do see him briefly in the issue. Then Apocalypse has this whole healing scene that's just totally wild. I loved this scene. Everyone has to like hold him down. It's Magneto and Laura, the metal or Lana. They're holding him down with just like all this steel. They're healing him up, and it's just totally crazy. It makes him seem like it took so much out of them. And this is when we get all the little backstory about the war and stuff, which it was actually really useful backstory because we get to meet Apocalypse's wife, who I did not know anything about. We learn about the Helm of Amenth or something like that. It's like some like golden mask. I think it lets you control this Dark World army, and a little stuff on the grandkids. So I was very happy with all of this exposition, and his sword retrieval moment here at the end of the issue. Holy shit, guys, this is probably like the best moment of the week. Like it's so cool. He goes to this pyramid, walks in, crushes these 4 like tomb sarcophagi, and then he has to build. There's like, it's all in pieces, and he builds his sword, and then he blows up the whole pyramid. Wow. Like I posted it on Twitter, so if you want to look at the panel that just rocked my socks off, go check me out. But this has 100% my favorite X of Swords issue, 100%. And I know I said that about New Mutants, and then I think I was probably saying that about like X-Force. So the fact that this series is getting like better and better, that's great. That's probably the best part about it. Like it's only up from here, and I can only imagine when the fighting starts, it is going to get just beyond cool. It's gonna be so cool that it's bad. It's gonna be not cool. It's gonna be totally a blast. There are 2 spots left on the circle here, and this is what I'm saying. Gorgon, is it both your swords? Are you gonna like have 1 foot in each hole? You gotta get to that, Hickman. Come on. But my overall thoughts, like I said, this issue was phenomenal. If anything, just read this issue and you will be caught up for X of Swords. You know what? I'll just say that. If you read X-Men 13, you'll be caught up because all you need to know is Apocalypse is about to rip shit. Moving right ahead, we have Batman White Knight presents Harley Quinn, issue number 1. This is written by Sean Gordon Murphy and Katana Collins, drawn by Matteo Scalera, and colors by the amazing Dave Stewart, who I'm realizing that I'm reading a lot more and more of his work lately. But this right here, guys, I was very excited. This is the return of the Murphyverse. So White Knight, Curse of the White Knight, really good books. Apparently that's kind of controversial, but I really did enjoy both of those books. Except this one, the Harley Quinn, is only written by the Murph Man, where it's then scripted by Katana Collins. He doesn't even script it, and maybe most unfortunately, he does not draw it. And I actually do love the art in this issue, so that is no shade to Matteo. However, how can you beat the Murph? Like, his art is just, I won't even go down that rabbit hole. But here we are getting the White Knight treatment, but for Harley Quinzel. So I really did dig this issue. This is 2 years after the Curse of the White Knight events where Azrael, he killed up all the villains. Joker is also dead. Batman is in the clink because he revealed his identity to the world and totally chose to go to jail for it. Harley, she is raising Jack Napier's kids, aka the Joker's kids. There's 2 twins, and it's just insane. And in this issue, we kind of just see all of this information, what the world has turned to without 2 years of Cape Crusaderness. There is now a serial killer that has sprung up in Gotham, and Harley herself, the criminal psychologist extraordinaire, is on the case because they want to nip this new villain in the bud. So my thoughts on this issue, I loved it. I thought this issue was super good. Remember, guys, this is the sane Harley. So there was kind of a weird thing back in the first White Knight book where this different girl came to rise as the like new Harley. It was this whole thing where really the Joker never noticed that this girl had like actually swapped out and it was just a different girl playing the role of Harley. She became the Neo Joker. It was a whole thing. But the first Harley, this is like the first actual Harley that discovered him in Arkham. Well, as we learn, there's a secret origin there, but the classic Harley, she is just totally chill, sane girl. She's recovered and now she's a mother. And like I touched on, there's a bit of a secret origin here where Harley met Jack and Batman on the same night, way back in her college days when she was working at a strip club. Actually, Jack was one of the patrons, and that was the bit of a secret origin there, and quite black label-y, if I might add. But then we get to see what Harley's life is like, and Duke ends up coming into the fray. And let me tell you, Duke wants to smash Harley. I mean, I would, so why not? But then also there's some competition there because Bats is also trying to smash, because Harley ends up visiting him in the clink in the jail, and he's just chilling. He looks very happy. Like, honestly, I realized we don't get to see Batman smile a whole lot. So that was very interesting, I should say, just to watch him smile. Then the whole thing, like with this like serial killer, it's pretty interesting. I guess it's this guy, he's like killing old golden age actors and like painting their corpse or something. It's fairly interesting. It seems like it would leave a mess and kind of leave a trail. A couple weird things too. We get a little like death in the family flashback here. I hope we kind of get to see more of that. It also appears on the cover in one of the little diamonds. So I hope we get to learn like what happened with the death in the family in the Murphyverse. Like, where's Red Hood? Is he a thing? Is Red Hood about to be a thing? Ooh, did we just solve the mystery, New Age comic listeners? Is this murderer the Jason Todd? Oh no, that would be quite the spoiler if I just called that. I guess we'll have to see. They also tease the Neo Joker here, and I think that maybe is the red herring if it is Jason Todd. And so that was kind of neat. I am wondering what the hell she is up to, the Neo Joker. But then I do wonder, after Harley declares she's on the case, why does she have to rock the clown fit to like solve the crime? That's her whole thing. She's like, I work alone. And then she's walking with her hyenas wearing the clown fit. Like, do you have to wear that? I'm sure it's kind of cold, but to each their own. And then, like I said, there were hyenas here, and they were very cute. So overall, my thoughts on this issue was it was very good, very black label. And if you're a fan of the Murphyverse, then you got to be reading it because, you know, it's the Murphyverse. This is just continuance of the Murphyverse, and I think it's only a 6-parter. So we're not in for maybe as long a ride as some of the other Murphyverse titles. So overall, you got to pick it up. Back over to some Marvel goodness. We are in Juggernaut issue number 2, written by Fabian Nicieza, drawn by Ron Garney, colors by Matt Mila. I probably butchered the writer's name there. I know his Twitter has his pronunciation in the description, but alas, I am too lazy to go visit it. However, love the guy, love his art, do not mean to disrespect his name. But here we have Jug in his own solo series. It is very cool. And the last issue, he was smashing up everything. In this issue, he has his eyes set on one immortal Hulk, so it is truly an unstoppable force meets an immortal object. And here Jug is kind of sent to apprehend the Hulk and brings him to this whole Hulk shame festival thing that honestly gets quite emo. My thoughts on this issue. First off, the fight between Hulk and Jug is just dope here, guys. Like, it is so sick. Ron Garney just murders the art. I absolutely have to shout him out. It is just tons of good blows and throwing in every single way. It's just such a blast to read. Like, Ron Garney, chef's kiss, because you are an amazing artist, my friend. There seems also to be some weird like Roxxon Big Brother stuff in this issue that I'm kind of wondering what that's gonna want to turn out into. I'm always into the Roxxon Amazon conspiracy kind of thing, so I would like to see that kind of fleshed out, and then, you know, talking about some corporate America shit. You know what I'm saying? Then we also get a little bit of backstory with like the Gem of Sidorak here, which includes some of that like skinny Kane as he did the limbo thing where he lost his powers. And we follow him through this whole little adventure, and it's kind of going to be, it seems like it's going to be peppered through this rest of this Jug series, which I'm very excited for. And I also love the angle that the writer is taking with the whole Hulk shame festival, because it's like Jug is hearing all these like terrible things that the Hulk has done, and he just knows like, well, damn, I've probably done all of that and maybe worse. And I thought that was just a really cool angle for them to take, where Jug is like, damn, I feel just totally villainous. Just made him so deep as a character. And there's this girl here. Her name is D Cell. She's kind of cool. I don't know. She's kind of yucky. So if you know me, you know I'm really not into those yucky characters like all that much. But then I love the ending here because Jug gets slapped with a $25 million lawsuit. Like, what the fuck? But I thought that was a really funny ending, and I like how it has like a little "it's that serious" like thing at the end there. So overall, I am really digging this Juggernaut series. It has been just a total blast. I'm really excited. I'm kind of sad that it's limited, but I think it's going to be short and sweet. One of those things. And I think it's really been a great kickoff for Kane in his first series. So overall, you got to be checking this out. Staying in the Marvel lane, we have Falcon and Winter Soldier issue number 4. This is written by Derek Landy, drawn by Federico Vicentini, colors by Matt Mila again. I guess this is the Matt Mila corner. Shout out to Matt Mila. This book, this is one of those books that got fucked by COVID super hard, got delayed really weirdly, but is coming back now, and we're actually almost done with it. Sam and Buck, they're back together. They're buddy copping their way through this investigation. And it is involving the new Hydra head. It's kind of interesting. I like this boy who can like seemingly kick anybody's ass. It's a little interesting. But in this issue, we get to see the new Hydra leader, Veronica, some girl that I guess used to like identify like extremist organizations or something. She's now sort of risen, ironically, to the top of the Hydra Supreme leader. And she breaks the news to her folks. That takes up a good bit of this issue. And then we get Sam and Buck. They're getting to know this kid. He's kind of weird. But then a badass fight scene from the sky with like 100 Hydra dudes is how we sort of end off this issue. So to get into my thoughts into it, I thought this issue was okay. It was okay. The series is getting a tad yucky for me, and I throw this phrase around a lot. The yuck. What is what is a yuck? It is just like the yucksters, like slap your knee, a hardy har. I don't know. I'm just not really into all the yucky stuff. I mean, I like funny comics. I like when comics make me laugh. Don't get me wrong, but there's something about like the classic comedy in comics that I don't know. It just kind of isn't for me. I'm not into the one-liners and the jokes. But case in point, I think this like phone call with this girl has with her parents here is a little yucky for me. I mean, it is interesting, but I don't know. I'm not really laughing, so I guess it's just not kind of hitting for me. And then later, when Buck and Sam are talking to this neutral kid. So it's kind of like they're talking to him about like racism. This is something I would like to hear your guys' like take on if you read this issue. It seemed like they were talking about like racism or nationalism. I can't really tell. It's pretty surface level, but this neutral kid is talking about like Captain America being the, I don't know, perfect bloodline, pure, I don't know. It was just strange. I wish that they maybe would have delved into it more if they were actually going to talk about that, because I think that would be interesting, especially coming from Sam and Bucky. But I don't know. It just didn't really go there. But this falling scene was very fun. It had lots of good action. And it had a good yuck where this neutral kid, he like gets this jetpack and he offers it to Bucky, and he's kind of like annoyed that he has to take it from him because Bucky's just kind of like being a little turd about it. But then after that, they actually meet up with this Hydra leader, and it's like, is her argument that she's going to just be like a good Hydra leader, a good person? I guess she won't harm innocents. I don't know. It was just kind of weird for me. And then, okay, of course, the last page here, the neutral flipped, and now he's going to fight Bucky and Sam. That seems to be the whole gist of the next issue. So, this was the penultimate issue. Overall thoughts, it was just sort of okay. I'm going to obviously follow through with the series, but it's just been okay for me. If you like Sam and Buck and you're excited for the show, this might be something for you to check out and just have a good time too. Nothing that's going to get too deep, and that's okay. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the issue. From the Ashes of Joker War, we have Batman issue number 100, written by James Tynion IV, drawn by Guillaume March, and colors by Tome Moret. This issue, is kind of Batman's take a breath issue, just like I should have in that moment. This is his take a breath issue. Joker War just ended, so he's just relaxing, all right? He's just chilling. In this issue, we actually get some pretty interesting moments. Batman sort of admits here that he's sort of been going about this the wrong way. How many times have we heard Batman say that? Probably a couple, but he wants to switch things up, and essentially, he gets downgraded, which is kind of the cool thing. Lucius has all his money, and he has all his stake in Wayne Enterprises as well. So Bruce is moving from the mansion to his apartment in the Brownstone district, I guess, which is in the city, in Gotham City, which is something interesting you don't really think about, that Batman actually doesn't really live in Gotham. He lives in a suburb of Gotham, or like just kind of disconnected far away. But then lastly, and kind of the main point of this issue, is we get this huge Grifter cameo that I think we all were very pleased with. So to get into my thoughts on this issue, Batman saying Joker was kind of right in the beginning there, that was chilling. Chilling for me. I was a little chilled to hear that myself. But it really makes me wonder, like, how much will he be switching all of this up? Is he going to just completely change the script or not? We'll have to keep reading. The Grifter fight here was super amazing. March like murdered this fight here with this spread page, with them fighting. The action here is just so well thought out and so good. Gosh, but funny enough, the fight was kind of unnecessary. Like, we learned that like the Grifter did not have to fight Batman. He actually chose to, which makes it a little fun. But then Batman, he's got some problems in this kind of. From here on out, the Joker thugs that ravage the city, they're now kind of anonymously, just it could be anywhere. The Clown Hunter is still a thing. The Joker is still out there. And Nakano, he's running to ban vigilantes. So Batman's got a lot on his plate. And it makes me have a question. Is Batman's identity like revealed? It seemed like Lucius was sort of suggesting that here. I can't really tell, and I wouldn't really know. I wonder if did that happen like early in the King's Run? But then there's some more Luke Fox setup here, which I was very excited to see. And I guess that's sort of the next Batman, right? Haha. But then to look further down, this Batman Grifter beef, it's coming back. I tweeted about this, but it's definitely coming back. They were sharing too many mean mugs at each other. And then this whole shit with Batman and Catwoman, they need to get their shit together in 1 year. That's going to be an interesting little timetable. I wonder if they're going to take a year in our time or only like 6 issues. We will have to see. But then lastly, I love how Batman got depowered. That is my favorite thing by far. He's back to basics. He's detect. So I am just super excited to watch Batman just go back to kicking people's ass in alleys. None of this driving the Bat Hummer thingy with all the gadgets. I don't know. Just never was big for me. I like the classic shit. Batman just whooping ass. I'm very excited for that. My overall thoughts, this issue slapped, and I'm very excited to see what's coming down. And then not only that, we have hype for the Ghostmaker. There's just so much to look forward to here. So you got to be reading Batman. Venom issue 29. This is written by the one and only Donny Cates, drawn by Luke Ross, and colors by Jesus Aburtov. We are in Venom Beyond, issue number 4, or part 4, I should say. Last issue, we figured out who Codex and Virus was. Totally nuts. That blew my socks off. And in this issue, we kind of get to learn what Annie's backstory and Dylan's backstory have been on the Earth 1016, the Ultimate Universe, because that's where they're at right now. And when I say their backstory, it's like that universe's backstory, like the Annie, the Ultimate Annie, the Ultimate Dylan. Like what happened to them? Because we learned that Dylan is Codex. So what the hell is going on? Which we get a little more Scorpion business in here, which last issue we learned that Virus was Scorpion, Mac Gargan. And they spring the Venom's hideout. Scorpion figures out where all the Venom or whatever's the Agent Venoms are hiding, goes and finds them. They whoop his ass really quick. And now through him, they have their way to confront Codex, which will be the next issue. So to get into my thoughts on this, we learned that Annie had Dylan. Because Eddie is dead in this universe. He successfully killed himself in the church on his origin night. And Annie doesn't really want to know who the father is for Dylan. And that I thought was an interesting choice. I wonder if we're supposed to assume it's Eddie. Maybe we're not supposed to. Maybe it's not supposed to matter. And that's kind of like I said, an interesting angle for Cates to take for the Don Yold. I also have to add that Annie, Agent Venom, is badass as hell. She's really cool. The Dylan story, that's kind of the main crux of this issue. We get to learn like what went wrong with Dylan. He had the same powers. He could control symbiotes, and he went just wrong on this world. And the story is actually quite nuts. He essentially just killed the world by spreading his symbiote all over it. And honestly, I only wish we would have just been able to kind of see it in the art here. A little mistake in this issue is they didn't actually show it. They just kind of say that it's happening. Moving a little further, during the fight between the Venoms and Mac Gargan when he breaks in, Venom has this like electric cannon. What the hell was that? That just confused me. Is that like a power he's had? I've been reading this Venom run the whole time. I don't exactly remember that. Maybe I'm just forgetting something because I'm stupid. Additionally, why does Mac Gargan look so old? He just looked quite old and feeble when they desymbioted him. But I like how they do slam the emotional appeal during the Scorpion scenes with Eddie and him. I thought that was cool, harkening back to Absolute Carnage. So now that they have their way to Codex, the next issue is going to be nuts. My overall thoughts is this Venom issue was quite good. I really did enjoy it. It felt like a kind of just a slower ep for the new Venom, but I think the next issue is going to be really nuts, really, really nuts. So got to be checking out for the next issue. And yeah, I'm really wondering, is this arc going to wrap up here in just the next issue? Or are we going to get another? Oh God, my iPad that you read my script on just died. So 1 second here. All right, guys. So I figured out the remedy. Usually I do the show standing, but now I'm going to be doing the show sitting down because I'm going to be using a computer that's in front of me as opposed to my iPad up on a little music stand. But yeah, little weird thing. I actually do the show standing. I'm wondering if any of y'all thought about that. But moving in, we're talking about Iron Man issue number 2, written by Christopher Cantwell. So very exciting for the Doom Rider to be back on an armored boy, drawn by Keifu and colors by Frank D. Armata. Like Batman, Iron Man is back to basics, and he has a new creative team, a fresh start for the Iron Mang. He was embroiled in a bunch of Bendis. Was he dead? Was he not? Was he an AI? Was he not? Whole kerfuffle for the last couple years or so. Now, in this issue, Tony, he's up to more shenanigans. That's kind of sort of what the gist here is. He's having wrestling matches with Crusher Creel, which I guess are organized by Arcade. It's a whole thing. He's getting reunited with old friends because then later he meets this dude. Doesn't meet him, but he reunites with Cardiac, who has a whole showdown with him. And he's also making new friends. There's a lot of friends thrown around because Patsy Walker Hellcat, who's wonderful throughout this issue, she's giving Tony shit constantly, and it's just great. So to get into my thoughts on this, Cantwell, he's clearly kind of going for a bit of an anthology style type telling, where it's loose connections between each issue, but generally one issue tells one main story. And I actually kind of dig it. I think Al Ewing is pioneering that with Immortal Hulk right now, making it a thing. And we're really getting a tourney of villains throughout this issue here. It explains the first cover, how there were just dummy villains on it. I was wondering what the hell that was all about. But like in the beginning here, we get a Korvac scene, which I don't even know who Korvac is or what the deal is with that. And does it have to do with something with the science guy from the last issue? I'm full of questions here. But then we move into the wrestling match between him and Creel, and honestly, it was really dope. Creel, he turns gold based on Tony's armor. It's like his steel gold. It was very fun. Tony, he gets his cake spanked in this wrestling match. Like, Creel whoops his little ass. So that was very fun. I really dug that. And then after that, we actually get probably my favorite scene in the book, which is this meditation scene between Tony and Hellcat. I really did dig this scene. I thought it was like the perfect kind of, I don't know, explanation of what Iron Man is and what his life is like. Like, it was a really good character moment because he is just struggling with villains being cool here. And he kind of just can't slow his mind down. That's mainly what's going on during the meditation thing. He's just like, I can't stop thinking. I can't stop thinking. And that's, of course, going to be an Iron Man thing. And it's actually really relatable. So I really did dig that scene. It kind of just made Tony a lot more personable. And yeah, he's, like I said, he's struggling with villains being cool here, which I think could also be kind of considered some commentary on Cantwell's part that I really like. I think that's really cool. Just commentary on like the superhero genre as a whole. Obviously, Joker is this cultural icon, but it's like, really, should he be? Tony then has this whole showdown with Cardiac, like I said, which was kind of goofy in some regards because his outfit's a little goofy. The dialogue was a little 60s. And it's all these people just trapped in this steel ball. It's just like, what the fuck? But really crazy because Tony can't blast it. So he literally just full power drives into it with his fist. Like he pierces it with his own body. And he like breaks like 17 bones or some shit. It's so crazy. And then we learn later at the end that he was kind of wanting to die. Like he tried to commit suicide so he could have like a heroic death. Like Jesus Christ, this issue was just stellar, just through and through. So my overall thoughts, I really did dig this issue, and I'm liking Cantwell's take on it. The ending here was a little weird with Unicorn just coming back really fast. But hey, seems to be the villain journey, so I'll have a whole lot of appreciation for new characters after it's over. So you got to be checking out Ironman. Oh God, I can already tell I'm going to go over time with this one, but Robin King, issue number 1, written by Peter J. Tomasi. Love that guy. Drawn by Riley Rosmo. Colors by Ivan Placencia. And then there's actually a backup story here written by Tony Patrick, drawn by Daniel Sampere, colors by Adriano Lucas. So this is the first Robin King issue. It's not like his one shot. I guess it's technically a Dark Knight's Death Metal tie-in, but it's his first appearance since the Dark Knight's Death Metal Legend of the Dark Knights. Very long title, but very cool nonetheless. It was a very hyped character. He was very much spec'd on. And funny enough, this issue genuinely is a death metal tie-in because it progresses the story of death metal as an event, which I found really awesome. And I also was not expecting that. But we get to see Robin King in this issue. He's killing dummy heroes just left and right. Like seriously, whacking hella heroes on his homeworld. He ends up killing Firestorm. I'll list them off for you. He kills Firestorm. He kills Hans Van Hammer and Steve Savage. Don't know who those guys are, but they're flying old ass planes. So he kills those two dudes. He kills Hawkman and Hawkgirl in the same moment with one javelin throw. He kills Adam Strange. Like, what the fuck? So he just killed like 7 heroes, and it's actually crazy to watch. It's very gory. This is when he gets approached by the Batman Who Laughs, and he kind of makes him this offer like, yo, come join the dark side. And I dug that. Then there's some shit here where I can't really tell what's going on, but he's killing heroes in the present. He kills Red Tornado, Blue Beetle, and Animal Man in some very fucked up ways. But then I'm not sure, like, did those heroes really just die? I kind of can't believe that. But then the issue ends with him being finalized as the Robin King. So to quickly go through my thoughts on this issue was totally nuts, and it was very amazing. It was super duper dark, super gory, super like R rated. I mean, not super R rated. I mean, it says ages 13 and up, but it was pretty violent. But I love how this first scene, we actually dissect his utility belt, which I guess is like the biggest plot armor thing on the planet Earth. So it was perfect to get a little dissection of that. So like I said, surprisingly gory, and it was weirdly upsetting to kind of watch some of these heroes just get like maimed. Like I was like, oh my God. And I know it's not like our heroes, but still it's just like, Jesus Christ, you don't see that in every comic, you know? But this is making me really wonder, is this event, like, are we dealing with the canon people here? Like, is the Batman and the Superman and the Wonder Woman that we see, are they the real people? I kind of am just like at a loss for what's canon anymore. Is metal canon? Is it not? Is it our universe? Is it not? I need the answers. The whole explanation behind Robin King being the Robin King here is kind of saucy. It's like they threw him into this vat that was making crows, which are the Batman Who Laughs like Robins. And then he becomes a crow, but then they like unleash him as the Robin King because he becomes a crow like in his brain or something. Like I said, it's very saucy, but it was kind of cool just at the end for it to be like, and now you are the Robin King. And he was like riding this Robin dragon thing. It was pretty sweet. I did like the ending here. And hey, it says to be continued in Death Metal issue 5. So I did dig the darkness of this issue and can't wait to see just like how it continues. Like what the hell is going to go on with Robin King? And my main question is who is going to kill him? So we also get a backup story here, which is pretty neat. It is kind of interesting. It's pretty short. and it's called The Quiet Ones. And it's essentially Duke, Tim Drake, and Spoiler. They're fighting this Gamma Batman in the Narrows. There's some cool writing here. Duke is like, it's talking about Duke's life and all of that. But I will say the story is a little forgettable. It's pretty short, so you almost can't even blame it for that. But ultimately, I'm kind of just confused why they threw it in here. It just kind of heightened my line of questioning of is death metal canon? And I really would like you guys to chime in on me here. Like, correct me how dumb I am, because I just don't know if death metal is canon. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't square with anything else going on in the Gotham universe. I know they do events all the time with just keeping the normal series going, but I don't know. I'm just like, what the hell's going on? Overall thoughts, though, I thought the Robin King issue was really great. And yeah, you got to be reading it if you're into death metal. It's very good. Daredevil issue number 23. Ugh, my coffee is officially cold. Oh, well. This is written by Chip Zdarsky and drawn by Marco Cicchetto, I believe is how you say his name. And then colors by Marcio Menes? Yes, Menes. So I have been loving this series so far. It has just been amazing. And I think that's kind of the consensus. I never really hear people bad talk this series because it really is just quite well done. It's very amazing. Matt, he's going to jail. If you haven't been reading this issue, he's going to fucking jail because he killed somebody. And he's kind of just trying to get things in order first. If you really are wondering about that little description I just gave, go ahead and get caught up on this series because you will not regret it. It's just phenomenal. But he's piecing together his legal team here, which now includes one of his ex-loves, one of the million of them, that is Kristen McDuffie, and Matt's very emo about it. Kingpin, he's also around here. He's trying to get the city kind of just back running smoothly again now after the whole, I guess, what would you call it? Just burn? After the whole, I think it was called Burn or Inferno. That's what it was. The arc where villains just ransacked the entire neighborhood. He's getting things back in order from that. He's reassigning Hell's Kitchen to Izzy Libris. And before Matt crashes their meeting and him and Spidey, they give him all a warning pretty much like, hey, you don't do business here. We'll take you down if you do. And then they dip off. This issue was fantastic. I loved this issue. I will always be loving this issue. Matt, he gives a big old fuck you to Foggy. And that was a great scene. I just love how, like, I don't know. I just love Matt. He's just like one of the best characters ever. He's definitely like, okay, here's a little question. Here's a hot take, okay? Respond to this if you disagree. I'm about to elicit some high emotions from the listening audience. Matt is the most relatable comic book character. Period. I will say that unequivocally. He is the most relatable, most down-to-earth comic book hero in all of comic books. I'll say it, damn it. Fight me if you think I'm wrong. But I love the little fuck you that he gives to Foggy for inviting McDuffie to be on his legal team. There's some shit here with how, like, she doesn't remember who he is and doesn't know that he's Daredevil now when she used to back in the day. It's a whole thing. But then we get a great Elektra cameo here, and she's preaching about some hand shit. Like, the hand is going to come back. And that, I'm like, huh? Very, very eyebrows raised for. I'm always into more hand stuff. I love the hand. They're very interesting. But then we get to the meeting here between Kingpin and all the like gang leaders, I guess. And holy hell, he smashes Hammerhead, his head into a puddle of blood, and it's bonkers. Like, I am very interested in this angle that Zdarsky is taking with Kingpin, that he's like very violent and very bloody. I don't know. It's been a wild trip, the Kingpin in this series. But then after Matt and Spidey tell all the villains, like, hey, y'all are villains, they dip off, and then they're having kind of just a little heart to heart, literally on the rooftop here. And I tweeted about this too. They share a little hug, and it was very adorable. I really enjoyed this little scene. Spider-Man is telling Daredevil a similar story, how he actually once accidentally killed somebody in the same way that Matt did. And it's just very heartwarming because Matt's like, here, man, it's okay, I get it. And he just gives him a hug on the rooftop in the pale moonlight. It's so cute. It's so adorable. I love it. But then Matt returns to his legal team and Mike Murdock is there. What up? Like that was kind of insane to see. It explains the annual that we all received. So overall, my thoughts on this issue, it was totally nuts. I love Daredevil. It has been the best series so far. Can't wait to see him go to court, which seems to be the next issue basing off the cover. So love this series. You got to be reading Daredevil. Guardians of the Galaxy issue number 7. This is written by Al Ewing, drawn by Marcio Takara, and colors by Federico Blee. So this is Ewing's Guardians run. It is Empire Aftermath, and last issue it had me pretty high on this series. I really was digging this last issue, but this issue was pretty cool. Definitely not what I expected. The title of this issue was Let's Talk Politics, and the reason for that is because the squad, they're going to a meeting of galactic powers because Marvel Boy, he's attending on behalf of the Utopian Kree. Nova, he is attending on behalf of Earth, and they talk politics. Oh no, what could you have assumed? Novar, he makes the whole Skree alliance. That's what I'm going to start calling the Kree and the Skrull alliance here, the Skree. The Skree alliance, they commit to the pursuit of peace via Novar's I guess sophistry. He convinces him to do that. And then there is some deliberation. Novar eventually is framed for the death of 2 of these leaders. And guess who's put on the case to solve it? It is one Rocket Raccoon, which that was a little interesting. They, I guess, assigned him as an unbiased actor. So to get into my thoughts on the issue, first of all, this cover is amazing. I love this cover. It's so good. And then right in the beginning of the book, there's this telepathy scene between Moondragon and Phyla, which is really good. I just like how they kind of layered it or laid it out. It was like they're both drawn on different sides of the page, and then there's this middle column that features all of their dialogue back and forth. It was very well put together. There's kind of this running joke here about Novar looking like an old rocker named Adam Ant. I'm a little young for that joke, I think. If you're an older person and you know who, I guess you don't have to be an older person. If you're a more educated person than I am and you know who Adam Ant is, who the fuck is that? Let me know. I should honestly just Google a picture of him. But the meeting between all of the world, or I guess world's leaders, is pretty cool. It's pretty fun. Rich had a very funny line where he's talking to the Mentacle and goes, "Hey, you, don't make me come over there." that made me laugh. But then after the meeting, Marvel Boy gets framed. And honestly, I won't lie, it's kind of Trog, the way that he gets framed. I mean, Trog isn't kind of, I don't want to say dumb, but it's just a little like, I don't know, it's kind of, man, I don't know, ex machina kind of. It's just like, oh, of course he gets framed in these really interesting ways. And it is a conspiracy because he walks in on somebody who's dead. They're kind of saying it was a Skrull who killed them because they're talking about them shifting. A Kree walks in and he points a gun at Novar, and the gun flips around and shoots him through the head, which was kind of cool. But I was like, what the fuck was that? So now he's framed. And my final question is, how the hell is Rocket unbiased? That kind of makes no sense because Novar was on the Guardians. I don't know. But then he's with the whole Guardians. So he seems like the most unbiased or the most biased source. But I won't lie, overall thoughts, this wasn't what I was expecting from this issue, but it was pretty good. And I did dig it. And I can't wait to get a little more Kree Aftermath, Empire Aftermath. I really did dig all those little moments in this issue. And lastly, what the hell was that last page? If you read this issue, you know what I'm talking about. It kind of made no sense. But regardless, loved this issue. Blade Runner 2019, issue number 11, written by Mike Johnson and Michael Green, drawn by Andres Guinaldo, and colors by Marco Lesko. I am saving the best for last here, people. I know this is probably not on many of y'all's radars because it is a smaller indie book from Titan Comics, but this is hands down one of my favorite series right now coming out. It is seriously just so good. And I also got to say, this is the penultimate issue. I pretty much am shouting out any penultimate issues just because I like saying that word. And seriously, I'm just standing for this series. It's just phenomenal. Ashina, she's hanging out with some replicants who are part of this resistance, and they honestly just want to get off world. And I guess they're on the run from Selwyn and his runner Hythe, who is coming for Ashina and has been for some time. But Ashina is also looking for Selwyn. So they're all entangled here. And this is yet another great issue, just a great issue. There are some really cool scenes focusing on Ashina's prosthetics in this issue that I really did dig. There's also some good world lore as one of the replicants working on her back prosthetic talks about how she was involved in one of the wars and she was a medic. So replicants were kind of like involved in the war. I thought that had a little bit of like application to just like the real world in the amazing like Blade Runner fashion of just touching on our current world in these weird, interesting little commentative type ways. But then these replicant fugitives, these people are insane. They're really crazy because they just let it off right when Hythe sets it off. Because Hythe shows up and they just instantly start scrapping. They pull out the bazooka. They blow up their like car cruiser. It's really crazy. Ash has actually kind of started to sympathize heavily with replicants as a runner, which is actually really just crazy. Like that's the opposite of what you'd expect from a Blade Runner. But they all flee this little busting moment, and then there's this great spread from Andres Ginaldo here. There's this great, I guess it's not a spread. Is a spread like one comic page and a splash is two comic page? If that's correct, then there's a great spread here of them sitting on the roof in downtown. I don't know wherever. I don't know where they're at. I think they're on the suburbs of Los Angeles. So they probably were in Los Angeles in that scene. But the art is just phenomenal. I love Andres. He's so good. And the issue pretty much ends with Ash saying that she's going to go take care of this her damn self and go to Selwyn. And she goes off all the way to the islands that we kind of saw in the first issue here. Perfect little callback, seeing as this series is wrapping itself up. And then in this final scene here, we got three things, okay? 3. 1, a lion. 2, an army of Hythes. And 3, conclusions on the horizon, guys. So this issue left off in a crazy little moment where Ashina, she's staring down the eyes of, I assume, a replicant lion. And then Selwyn walks out with 4 Hythes. 4 freaking Hythes. So I am totally just off the what. Like that is a crazy ending. How the hell is Ashina going to survive that? This series is taken so realistically that I would be so shocked if nobody died. But then apparently 2019 year 2 is on the horizon, where I think it's going to go to 2026. I am just dumbfounded. I'm loving this series so much. Like I said, it is absolutely one of my favorite series on the book stand at the moment. Mike Johnson, I have to say, he writes his dialogue phenomenally. I love the way Mike Johnson writes dialogue. It feels like a movie script because it's short spoken, it's quick. They leave out little words that are kind of irrelevant, but it makes me hear their voices like so much better. I seriously think every writer should be inspired by what Mike Johnson is doing on this title. Overall, though, I'm loving Blade Runner. It's seriously best book on the stands. Next time that issue 12 drops, promise you guys it'll be the first book I review of that week. So, loving Blade Runner, you got to check it out. And so that's going to do it for me this week. That is all the books. I wrapped them all up. I think this episode's going to be a tad on the longer end, but I hope it's not too long. I'm thinking it'll be sub 1 hour here. So, thank you guys so much for listening. I had a whole blast talking about comics this week. Interestingly enough, I did a little thing different here where I timed myself as I talked. So I tried to keep every review to about 4 minutes or so. I hope it worked. If it did not, you will notice that it'll be on the longer end. But yeah, so let me know what you guys think about that. If you felt like I was scrambling through every issue, then perhaps I was, and I'm trying to iron out the performance here, y'all. So thank you so much for listening and bearing with me on these little tweaks and twerks that I'm making on the pod. If you're listening, thank you so much. It means absolutely the world to me. Please go ahead, like the video or share the pod, because it would just absolutely help out a ton. I love doing this here with you guys, and I love talking about comics with you. So tell me what your favorite comic was this week. I would love to hear it. Let's dish about it. And yeah, if you want to support the show, you can follow me and do all that stuff on wherever podcast app you got, or YouTube. Subscribe to me there. Leave a comment, leave a like, and follow me on Twitter at New Age Comics Pod. But love you guys. I hope you have a wonderful, wunderbar week. And why don't you read a comic? I have a good idea. Read a damn comic. I think you'll appreciate it. All right, guys. I will talk to you in the next one. Have a good week. See ya.